Hey guys, I played a chess game during an earthquake. In Kazakhstan, sometimes this happens, so I'm playing in this tournament. It's round 3 here at Oskemen Open, Kazakhstan, and the earth starts shaking. We're all playing. Now the lamps are shaking, the board is shaking, the pieces like a little bit were shaking. This was not a very strong earthquake, but still they evacuated us. And they made us stop the games and replay them. I already surprised my opponent in the opening. I played a new opening that I've never played before. I got a good position out of the opening, and then they're like, okay, tomorrow you play again. And today is the day we played again. I'll show you the game that I played. A good one, by the way. 93% accuracy on my side. And a very interesting also opening, which I had to switch, change, because the surprise was ruined. Interesting experience, I must say, but it is what it is. Okay, so I'm playing with the white pieces against Adilkhan Kozhabekov, who is from Kazakhstan. He's a senior player, used to be over 2200, but dropped a bit of rating because when you play in Kazakhstan against talented juniors, and you don't study as hard as they do, you drop rating. This is what happens. So I played e4, and he surprised me by going c6. He usually plays the Sicilian defense. I was preparing for the Sicilian, and sometimes he plays e5. I also was preparing for this, but he went c6. Okay. I went for the same opening that I played against Vladimir Fedoseev, who is a top 15 player in the world. A very strong player, originally from Russia. He now represents Slovenia. So, this is the line, h4. So there are two main moves here, h5 and h6. And in one of my previous videos, I showed you a gambit that I played against h5. I won against a strong international master with that gambit after queen a5, b4. Check it out. But my opponent played h6 like Fedoseev did. And here, the line that I have prepped is bishop takes d3, and most people take with the queen, like 99% of people, but I take with the pawn. And that's a very exciting line that I came across on the internet. And the idea is that black, in most of those lines, wants to push c5, and then white takes, and the other d-pawn will go to d4. So that's the idea, and the center remains intact for white. So he goes e6. Unfortunately, I confused mixed up the move order. First, I should have gone knight c3, but I forgot and went knight f3 first, which is not too precise, but still. c5, takes, and d4. So that's the idea. Now the second d-pawn serves the role of strengthening the center. He checks me. I was considering briefly going king f1 and then attacking his bishop. By the way, the engine likes this more than what I did, but I decided to trade my dark squared bishop because I have many pawns on dark squares, which means that my dark squared bishop is not that good. So I decided to trade it. Now he goes knight e7, trying to develop the knight probably here. First I go knight c3. I want to jump here using the fact that he is lacking a dark squared bishop now, and this d6 square is a weakness for him, so he goes a6. And now I go h5, a very subtle move. The idea is I want to prevent him from going h5 and knight f5, and h5 will prevent me from kicking his knight. And now, since I went h5, if he goes here, I'll just kick him back with g4, and he'll have to drop back, and I have a space advantage. Yes, this is risky. I can overextend my position, but in this situation, this is called for. So h5 is a good move. He goes, if he castles, he didn't castle, but if he castles in this position, I sometimes even have ideas of rotating the rook to, lifting the rook to the g file, and manually hiding my king on f1 or g1. But he's not castling just yet. After h5, he goes b5, going for the counterplay on the queen side, which is logical, because whenever you have a pawn on e5, which I do, the rule of thumb is that you need to attack on the king side. Did you know that? If you didn't, then you learned something new. So if you have a pawn on e5, you attack on the king side. If you have a pawn on d5 with white, you attack on the queen side. That's a good rule of thumb to remember. Okay, here my opponent goes b5, and I challenge him with a4, which is a little bit contradicting my statement, the fact that I need to play on the king side. But this is also a good move because I challenge his pawn chain and I'm preventing some of his counterplay. So he has to push the pawn to b4. Now I rotate my knight back and I want to put the knight here where it will serve various purposes. First of all, it will, from b3, it will protect the d4 pawn. It will block the b pawn, not allowing the pawn push, because sometimes black wants to go b3, rook c8, and rook c2, infiltrating and creating some counterplay. So if I put my knight here, I'm preventing this. Also, sometimes I can jump to c5, a great square for the knight where it will be untouchable because nobody can kick it, and also preventing knight a5 ideas by black. So very subtle maneuver. I'm proud of the fact that I found it here. So he goes queen here, I go knight c1, rotating, and I go knight b3. And white is better. White is better because white enjoys some space advantage, and sooner rather than later black will have to castle kingside, and then an attack will come. You will see it. So rook c8, castles, castles, and g4. I need to create an attack on the king side. I want to put g5, or I want to go knight h4 and push the pawn to f5, maybe even to f6. And then if he takes, I'll take on h6, and it will be lights out for black. So he goes king h8, sidestepping. Now if I go g5, it's not good because now he suddenly has this outpost on f5, and pawns don't go backwards. I cannot kick him from f5, and he's equalizing. So g5 is premature here. Instead, first I go king h1, sidestepping any pins on this diagonal, because later I want to push f5, and yeah, and also I want maybe in some variations to put the rook on the g file. You will see that in future. So he goes rook c4, trying to go for some counterplay, but my knight on b3 is very strong, preventing anything from happening here. I go knight h4. As I told you, my plan is to push the pawns on the king side. He goes queen d8. Potentially there will be a threat on h4 to my knight. I go f4, and here I was considering, while he was thinking, I thought, what if he goes knight f5? And actually it's the top engine move. Nice move, because if I take with a pawn, he'll take my knight with check, and my position will collapse. So, and if I drop back with a knight, then he has a fork, knight g3, check. So I have to take like this, and then go g5. That's what I was planning to do. And white is still better, but this was the best option for black, apparently. Instead, he went for the passive defense. Instead of going here, he went here, which is, like, I didn't like this move. It's obvious that black is playing, like, on the back foot, and yeah, you should not put your knight on g8. It's too passive. You, like, this knight went to e7, and then return to g8. It's not a happy knight. Your knight should be closer to the center. They should not be like standing on the starting position. But he has an idea. He attacked my knight, so of course I just dropped back. I also was considering g5. It's also good, but I'm not threatening to take because my knight would be hanging. So I decided, okay, I'll drop back. Now this maneuver was the purpose of this maneuver, knight to h4 and back, was to free the road for my pawn, which was on f2. Now it's on f4, so the knight has done its job and now can drop back. Now I want to go either g5 or f5 and continue my attack. My opponent goes queen e7, and here I entered a deep think, because it's obvious that he wants to double the rooks and infiltrate on c2, and I don't want to allow him any counterplay. And I'm proud of the fact that I found a sequence of moves that completely killed his counterplay. I just went queen g2, and when he doubled the rooks, intending to go here and pressure me, I just went rook f2, and he has no infiltration squares. His rooks look menacing, but they cannot do anything. This square, c3 square, is protected by the pawn. This square is 2 times protected by my rook and queen, and this square is 2 times protected by rook and knight, and so he has nothing. his rooks don't do any damage to me. Whereas I can continue my attack, rook f1 or rook g1, and then g5, f5, and trying to checkmate him. That's what I intended, and he clearly didn't like his position. He went f6, which is logical because he wants to challenge my beautiful center, but this creates a weakness on g6. So now my knight can jump here and threaten some material loss. So I could have gone knight h4 immediately, but I decided it's like I'm not in a rush. First I went rook g1. Please note that I shouldn't take this pawn. It's bad because that would have allowed his knight finally to join the action and maybe even go to e4, and suddenly black is back in the game and close to equal. So of course you should not help your opponent develop like this. You should continue your play. Rook g1 was my plan. Putting pressure over here, potentially preparing g5 or f5. So here he traded the pawns and he went rook f8. He realized that the rooks on the c file do not do anything, so the rook is now trying to defend, play a defensive role. So here I went rook f1 because initially I wanted to go queen g3 to prepare this and this, but I didn't like the fact that he can go queen f7 and then threaten me with the queen trade, even though it's still much better for white, but I did not like it, so I went here because now if he goes queen f7, I jump here and his queen is attacked, and it's all over because a fork is coming next and he loses material. So he cannot go queen f7. That was the idea of me going to f1, putting pressure on the f file. He drops back with another rook, so all his pieces are now on the back rank or on the adjacent, on the one adjacent to the back rank. So obviously his position is not good if he's like this, trying to dodge my punches, to duck, but it's not good. You should create counterplay. When you are attacked, you should not just defend passively. It's never a good idea. Basically, if you defend passively against an attack, 90%. There's a 90% chance that you lose. If you try to go for some counterplay, there is maybe like, depending on the position, maybe there is like 70% that you lose still if you are attacked, but 30% is that you win or maybe draw by perpetual check, which is much better than defending passively and you have practically zero chance of surviving. That is the principle of modern chess, because my coach taught me this, Grandmaster Farukh Amanatov. Check out the podcast episode with him, because modern chess is faster than the chess of the old times when they had like 3 hours per game and they had adjournments of games. There were no computers, so people could stop the game and go home and tomorrow continue. That was like, if you check out the history of chess, Kasparov versus Karpov, for example, they adjourned games. Now we play like 1.5 hours per game. It's much faster, and the faster time controls favor attackers. So you need to attack, you need to be active. That's I think the first lesson with my Grandmaster coach was this 2 years ago. So yeah, I'm sharing this with you for free now. Queen g3. That's the move I made. I want to put the knight here and infiltrate like this. So he drops back, anticipating this, anticipating a potential fork. Now there is no longer a fork. I go here, he takes, I take with the queen, but still I'm like dominating. I'm close to winning because my pieces are so active, even though material is equal. He goes here, I go queen f7. Great move according to the engine. The idea is that if he takes, I take back, this is threatened, and if he goes here, there is a small tactic. And it's a fork, and I will have at the end of this line, I will have 2 knights and he will have just 1. I'm up a piece and winning. So unfortunately for him, he cannot trade here because that would lead to this tactic. He has to go knight f8, but now I go knight c5. Remember I told you that this knight could one day go to c5. Great outpost. And it's forking actually 2 pawns, so bad news for him. Even in the endgame, he is not surviving. He takes. Now this is threatened. He goes to rook e8. I take one of his pawns. Now I have an extra pawn. There is a passed pawn. I'm winning. He goes here, taking my rook. I drop back. He goes here. If I take this pawn, he will have rook c4, forking me and creating some counterplay. I do not want to allow this. So again, I drop back, blocking his rook, not allowing any counterplay. Very important rule, also taught by my coach. you should, when you are up material, when you have a better position, you should first and foremost prevent counterplay of your opponent. Only after you have prevented any counterplay, you should realize you should implement your own plans. First of all, prevent any counterplay. I'm preventing any counterplay here. He goes here, and now I realize that he wants to take here. So I go here, and I realize he wants to take here and seemingly win a pawn, but it does not work due to a beautiful tactic. And in time trouble, he had like 1 minute. He missed this, and I immediately saw this. He took, and I took. And he cannot take because that will be a fork and I will be up a knight. He was frustrated, but he was still losing even without this tactic. So here he's just completely lost. And in a couple of moves, he resigned because now this is threatened. Nice checkmate. Also, the rook is hanging, so he checked me. Now this is threatened, so he went g5 to stop the checkmate, but checkmate is still coming. And here he resigned because this is a forced checkmate in 2 moves, all like this. Doesn't matter, so he cannot stop it. So thankfully, the earthquake did not prevent me from winning this game. Please drop a comment if you like this video. I really appreciate everybody commenting. It makes my day, so please do it. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.